So what if I told you the disposable coffee cup you just threw away this morning?
Oh, the one you didn't even think twice about tossing.
Exactly. The one in the recycling bin right now. What if that piece of actual garbage could be like the most important historical artifact of your entire week?
Right, which sounds completely absurd on the surface.
It does. I mean,
Yeah.
holding onto that trash, right? Giving it a physical tag and actually carrying it with you. But supposedly that could be the key to reclaiming your mind from the algorithms that currently control it.
Yeah, because we are so conditioned to view our physical waste as something to just, well, to hide or destroy or outsource. But when you really examine the mechanics of memory and how human beings actually encode meaning,
Mm-hmm.
that discarded cup suddenly becomes this massive psychological battleground.
And that is exactly the battleground we're walking onto today. Welcome to the deep dive. We are exploring something that really challenges the fundamental way you, the listener, interact with your physical environment, right? And your digital footprint.
That's a big one.
It's huge. We're jumping into this expansive, deliberately chaotic, and honestly brilliant ecosystem called FizzStory EXP.
Yeah, and the source material we have today is highly unusual.
Mm-hmm.
We aren't just looking at, a clean, edited academic paper or a textbook.
Oh, not all.
We're untacking a living archive. It's a website, it's formal academic project proposals, and these deeply personal, raw reflections, meticulously documented by a neurodivergent creator, a student at University College Cork, Lou Riordan.
And to really grasp the gravity of this creator's work, I think we have to start by looking at the water we're all swimming in right now, because the sources describe our current reality as a post-human digital world.
Post-human.
Yeah, post-human, which, you hear that phrase and you instantly think of cyborgs or sci-fi movies, right? But the reality is actually much more mundane and insidious.
It's very insidious, because post-human, in the sociological context, it doesn't mean microchips in our brains. It means the primary driver of our culture, our narrative.
Like our daily interactions.
Exactly. The driver is no longer human agency. It's the algorithm. I mean, we are constantly consuming content, constantly leaving a digital footprint. Every click, every pause on a video.
Every single keystroke.
Right. But we own absolutely none of it. Tech conglomerates own the data. So they essentially own the narrative of your life.
You're like a ghost in your own digital house. You're generating all this heat, but you have zero control over the thermostat.
That's a great way to put it. And because those algorithms prioritize engagement metrics above all else, above truth, above mental health, above genuine connection.
Right, they just want you scrolling.
Always. So the narratives we get fed become fleeting and completely fragmented.
And there's a phrase the creator of FizzStory uses in their archive that just, it hit me like a ton of bricks.
Right.
They call our modern era a charge it, trash it, replace it culture.
Charge it, trash it, replace it. Yeah.
It perfectly encapsulates the exhaustion I think so many of us feel. Like, you buy the newest phone, you charge it, it becomes obsolete in 2 years, you trash it, you replace it. But it's not just hardware.
No, it's our media, it's art.
Yeah. You see this deeply emotional video on your feed, you feel something for like 3 seconds, you swipe, and you completely forget it exists. The emotion is basically trashed and replaced by a meme.
And the academic literature in the sources points directly to the consequences of this cycle. The creator actually leans really heavily on the work of anthropologist Arjun Appadurai.
Okay, right.
Specifically, Appadurai's 2013 theories surrounding the social life of things.
The social life of things.
Right, which is critical here because it argues that objects don't have inherent meaning. A piece of wood is just wood, a shoe is just rubber and canvas. Objects only gain cultural meaning through sustained human interaction.
So when we strip that human interaction out, right, or we compress it into a 3-second digital swipe.
The objects lose their soul, and the stories attached to them die.
Wow.
They lose their cultural weight entirely. Think about a family heirloom, like a pocket watch passed down through 4 generations.
Okay, yeah.
That watch holds immense cultural weight within that family. It has a rich social life.
Right, because everyone has a story about it.
Exactly. Now compare that to a cheap plastic watch you ordered online, wore it twice, and threw it in a drawer. The physical utility is the same. It tells time. But the social life of the second object is dead on arrival.
So this charge it, trash it, replace it culture is essentially a mass extinction event for the social life of our shared objects.
A mass extinction of meaning, yes.
Okay, so if the mass extinction of meaning is the problem, the creator proposes FizzStory EXP as the antidote. But I want to be clear, FizzStory isn't an app.
No, it's not.
It's not some new social media platform promising to be quote-unquote better. It's described as a live-action research experiment and a storytelling framework.
The mission is to take you, the audience, and violently pull you out of the role of passive consumer.
Yeah, turning you into an active co-creator.
It requires you to do the actual work. It's an ecosystem where stories are forcibly attached back onto living, physical, and digital artifacts.
Okay, let me try out an analogy here because grappling with this concept, it requires a bit of a shift in perspective.
Go for it.
So, if modern digital media, your algorithmic feed, if that is a fast food drive-thru, it's engineered to be frictionless. You pull up, the algorithm predicts what you want to eat, they hand you a highly processed meal through the window, you eat it in your car without looking at anyone, and you throw the wrapper away.
It's convenient, it's empty calories, and it's incredibly lonely.
Exactly. Fizz story, on the other hand, is like walking into this chaotic, communal potluck dinner in a crowded neighborhood.
A potluck where all the rules of etiquette are just suspended.
Yes. You have to bring an ingredient. You're actively contributing to the meal. But it goes further than that, right? Imagine a potluck where people aren't just sharing food. They're trading the plates. They're writing on the napkins and passing them around.
The environment itself is part of the meal.
Right. And the recipe for the soup on the stove actually changes in real time based on who walks through the door and what spices they happen to have in their pocket.
I love that.
It's messy, it's loud, there's immense friction, but you leave that room with the visceral memory of having built something with other human beings.
And that friction is the vital component of your analogy. Fast food removes friction to increase transaction speed.
Yeah, they want you in and out.
But Fizz Story introduces deliberate friction to increase emotional retention.
Yeah.
To achieve this mechanically, the creator had to design a way to anchor these abstract, chaotic stories back to physical reality.
They needed a system.
A very robust system.
And the naming conventions within the system are completely unapologetic. The overarching physical anchoring system is called RATART, R-A-T-A-R-T.
RATART.
Right. And it organizes the physical artifacts of our lives into a taxonomy that is just wonderfully blunt. It divides everything into two categories, tings and shits.
Let's examine those definitions from the archive, because they're a lot more nuanced than the humor implies.
Yeah.
Tings, spelled T-I-N-G-S, are defined as held, carried, loved objects. These are the items we deliberately acquire, keep, and assign real value to.
So like your favorite jacket, your laptop, your grandmother's ring.
Precisely. The other category, shits, S-H-I-T-S, covers passing objects.
Right, the disposables.
Temporary surfaces, packaging, transit residue. The stuff modern culture tells us to use, lose, or leave behind without a second thought.
So to give you a mental picture of what a ting looks like in this Fizz Story ecosystem, the archive documents an artifact known as the buck boots.
Ah, the buck boots.
Yeah. These are 2 pairs of Timberland boots. The creator acquired them while working an Amazon job in New York. But they aren't just footwear.
No, they've been worn on what the creator documents as Home to Homeless to Homeland tour.
A massive geographical and emotional journey. It spanned from Phoenix, Arizona to New York City, and eventually to Ireland, starting way back in 2021.
And the boots physically track this journey. They're covered in tags, markers, scuffs. The creator describes them as bubbling with seasonal tags and utility updates.
Right, you look at these boots and you don't see a product you buy at a mall. You see a geographic map of a human being's survival. The story is quite literally etched into the leather and the dirt embedded in the soles.
Then, if we look at the complete opposite end of the material spectrum, the archive details a SII artifact.
Okay.
It's labeled the Snaky Cup, which is linked to another entry called B-Day Treats.
This one is fascinating because it's the absolute epitome of the disposable culture we were just talking about. It's a standard, compostable coffee cup, the exact kind you get at any cafe, drink in 10 minutes, and throw away.
But the context in the logs is critical. This cup was purchased during a period when the creator notes their coffers were bare.
It was a moment of deep financial scarcity.
Exactly. So buying that coffee was a sneaky treat, a tiny act of rebellion against their difficult circumstances. And instead of throwing the cup away, the creator took a permanent marker to the plastic and the cardboard. They wrote on it. They tagged it.
They turned literal trash into a monument.
Yes. By documenting that specific emotional state on a disposable surface and then logging it into the FizStory digital ecosystem, they elevated it.
Even if the physical cup eventually disintegrates or goes to a landfill.
It ceased to be a piece of passing waste. It became a logged artifact of survival.
Wow. But the scale of Raytart isn't just limited to coffee cups and boots, right?
Yeah.
The archive includes an entry called the Rat Nest Art Trap.
The mobile home.
Yes, this massive 35-foot by 12-foot 1970s Galaxy mobile home located in Ireland. It's described as a participatory interactive sculpture, so it's essentially a giant, habitable ting that is entirely covered in shits.
Acting as a canvas for chaotic mixed media. It's a physical manifestation of the creator's internal processing, just projected onto an architectural scale.
Okay, I have to stop us here for a second, because I'm looking at this from the perspective of an everyday person walking down the street, and I need to play devil's advocate.
Please do.
If I take a Sharpie and scribble my feelings on an empty pizza box and leave it on a park bench, I haven't created a profound piece of cultural architecture.
Right.
I've littered. And if I fill my apartment with thousands of tagged, dirty coffee cups and scuffed up boots, society doesn't call me an archivist, they call me a hoarder.
They absolutely do.
So where is the line? How does slapping a hashtag on garbage magically exempt it from being just garbage?
It's a very valid challenge. And it's one the academic literature within the project actually anticipates and addresses head-on. The creator explicitly references the clinical work of C.A. Matthews on hoarding disorder.
Oh, really?
Yes. The pathology of hoarding is rooted in an inability to part with objects, regardless of their actual value. It's driven by anxiety regarding the loss of the memory attached to the object.
Right, which results in an accumulation that paralyzes the individual. It destroys the functional use of their living space.
Exactly. It's an act of clinging. You hold on so tightly to the past that you suffocate your present.
So if you throw away the pizza box, you fear you're throwing away the memory of the night you ate the pizza.
But the architecture of Raytart is fundamentally the opposite of clinging. What separates this from hoarding is a built-in, trademarked protocol within FizStory called transfership.
Transfership.
Yes. It's an engineered mechanism for letting go.
Okay, so how does that actually work in practice? If you aren't hoarding the coffee cups, what are you doing with them?
You process them, and then you release them. The physical tagging isn't about claiming permanent ownership. It's about establishing provenance. Every Raytart piece is assigned a highly structured, almost chaotic digital syntax.
Yeah, the archive shows the syntax. It looks like a string of broken computer code. It starts with hashtag tagyoshit or tagyoking, identifying the category.
Right.
Then at yomark, which is the creator or participant's unique identifier. Then hashtag say wha, which links to a specific thought or emotional state at that moment.
And then it demands the exact date, the precise minute, and the geographic location.
Right, the hashtag GEO.
That syntax is the bridge between the physical object and the digital archive. The creator is externalizing the memory.
Oh, I see.
By forcing the memory out of their head, onto the physical cup, and then logging that data into the digital archive, the brain is given permission to release its anxious grip on the item.
The memory is safe. It's been backed up.
Exactly. Once the provenance is established, the transfership protocol dictates that the item must re-enter circulation.
So it doesn't just sit in your house?
No. It might be given to someone else, it might be sold at what the creator calls the auction art space, or it might simply be dropped back into the public sphere. But the intention is transfer, not accumulation.
It's an exercise in intentionally processing a memory so that you can survive the act of letting it go.
Precisely.
That distinction changes everything. It totally reframes the entire project. When you look at the buckbuttes or the snaky cup through the lens of transfership, you realize you aren't looking at quirky hipster art. You're looking at psychological survival tools.
Survival tools, yes.
And to truly understand why a human being would need to invent an entirely new syntax just to process their own memories, we have to examine the psychological state that birthed this system.
The archives are incredibly transparent about the origin story. The creator traces the genesis of FizStory back to a period of intense volatility.
Like 2017 to 2018?
Yes, they were navigating severe social unrest and personal upheaval while moving between Phoenix and New York City.
And the compounding stress of that period eventually culminated in what the creator bluntly logs as a severe bottomed-out/dropout X.
A massive dropout experience.
Right, that spanned 3 years, from 2021 to 2024.
And we really cannot gloss over the underlying catalyst for that burnout. The sources emphasize that Riordan is an autistic and dyslexic individual.
Which is huge context.
It is. The burnout they experienced was not a failure of intellect or technical capability. It was the catastrophic, cumulative toll of existing environments designed by and for neurotypical brains.
Let me try to put this into perspective for listeners who might not have firsthand experience with neurodivergence. Imagine you're dropped into a foreign city.
Okay.
But in this city, all the street signs, all the warnings, all the social cues are written in invisible ink.
Invisible ink.
Yeah, and everyone else who lives in the city was born wearing special UV glasses. They can read the signs effortlessly. They know when to stop, when to go, when to speak, when to be quiet.
The unwritten social rules.
Exactly. But you don't have the glasses. You're constantly stepping into traffic, constantly violating norms you didn't even know existed. When you ask for directions, people look at you like you're deliberately being difficult because to them, the signs are obvious.
Right, they can't understand why you don't see it.
The sheer cognitive energy required simply to not get hit by a car in that city is staggering. You spend all your energy just trying to mask your confusion and mimic the locals. Eventually, you run out of energy, you collapse. That is the bottomed-out experience.
That invisible ink represents the emotional intelligence and executive functioning demands of standard societal structures. And the creator realized that society was never going to hand them the UV glasses.
No, the structures weren't going to adapt to them.
So instead of continuing to wander blindly, they decided to pave their own road system directly over the old one. They wrote their own manual.
And this brings us to the theoretical core of the academic research here, right? The concept of recovery design.
Yes. Phys story is infrastructure for recovery. The act of categorizing, tagging, logging, and isn't just an art project. It is a vital sense-making tool.
It brings order to a chaotic sensory and social landscape.
Exactly.
And the hashtag logs in the archive are this beautiful window into the sense-making process. The creator uses specific buckets to categorize their reality. They use hashtag REC_N0TES.
Rec notes.
Rec notes, right. To record what they call human oofs. Mistakes, corrections, awkward interactions. They use hashtag REC_L0GS to anchor moments of meaning.
And the most expansive category is hashtag SayWHHA, which serves as a rapid sorting mechanism for overwhelming thoughts.
Oh, yeah, I loved looking at those. They filter thoughts into emotional buckets like say art, say WRK, say Sarai, say AU1, even say SMRT, and say IDK.
It's a way to externalize the internal chaos immediately.
I spent a lot of time reading through the say SMRT logs. There's a quote logged from 2019 that I just haven't been able to stop thinking about. The entry just says, I observed myself, therefore I am myself.
Wow. A neurodivergent evolution of Descartes.
Totally. Because I think, therefore I am, relies on internal processing. But I observed myself, therefore I am myself, speaks to the experience of feeling disconnected from your own actions, having to step outside yourself to analyze your own behavior just to prove your own existence in a space.
That's incredibly profound. And then right next to that, under the Say IDK tag, the, bucket, there's a log that simply says, Viva la moment.
Viva la moment. I love that. It's this frantic, beautiful attempt to anchor down the chaos.
And to see recovery design applied in a high-stakes, real-world scenario, we can look at a specific reflection the creator documented during their postgraduate diploma studies at University College Cork.
Right, because they were doing group work, which is always
a challenge.
Yeah.
The archive details their experience in a diverse group project that became intensely difficult.
This reflection is vital because it proves the system actually works under pressure. The creator notes a specific group dynamic where a team member seemed to bypass them entirely. This individual would direct the core of their communication and decision-making to the other male member of the group and only turn to the quote-unquote ladies, that's the creator's phrasing, for secondary input after the heavy lifting was done.
Right. And the creator explicitly logs that this dynamic triggered a very real, very difficult past trauma regarding gender discrimination they had faced previously in professional workplace environments.
It activated an intense emotional response.
Understandably.
So, in the past, or in a neurotypical framework, the options here are usually binary, right?
Yeah.
You either explode and confront the person, creating a massive conflict.
Or you swallow the anger, shut down, and let the trauma win.
Exactly. But the creator applied recovery design. They analyzed the situation impartially. They drew on the academic framework of Tuckman's 1965 model of team development.
Which is a brilliant application. For context, Bruce Tuckman's model outlines the necessary phases a team must go through to function: forming, storming, norming, and performing.
Forming is like the polite introduction phase, right?
Right. But storming is the inevitable phase where personalities clash, power struggles emerge, and trust is tested.
So by mapping the group's toxic behavior onto Tuckman's model, the creator depersonalized the attack. They recognized, oh, we are in the storming phase. The friction is a structural reality of the process, not just a personal failure.
And knowing that direct verbal pushback often escalates the storming phase into a permanent breakdown, they utilized inclusive design thinking to bypass the friction.
This part is so smart.
They stopped relying on verbal communication, which is clearly a hostile channel, and shifted the battleground to visual tools.
They took over the whiteboard.
They did. They used whiteboards and visual resources to communicate their ideas, map the project, and drive the work forward. The whiteboard became a neutral, indisputable third space.
It allowed them to demonstrate leadership, iterate in real time, and make undeniable positive contributions without getting dragged into the toxic interpersonal verbal sparring.
It's a masterclass in environmental manipulation. They couldn't change the person's bias, but they changed the medium of communication to neutralize the bias. They designed a functional pathway through their own trauma.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
But while recovery design focuses on internal survival and protecting one's own boundaries, Fizz's story doesn't stop there, does it?
No, it evolves.
Because a fortress keeps you safe, but it also keeps you isolated. The next evolution of the creator system was figuring out how to build bridges back to other people.
And that transition from internal survival to external connection introduces one of the most mechanically fascinating aspects of the entire Fizz story universe, the concept of pre-tips.
Pre-tips.
Pre-tips challenges our fundamental understanding of value and currency.
The archive defines pre-tips as tagged appreciation. It involves taking physical money banknotes, cash, and holding it, sharing it, or passing it forward as a physical carrier of emotion.
The creator describes it as gratitude and support held in circulation and anticipation.
To understand the weight of this, we have to look at the 6-step chronological loop the creator designed for a pre-tip to exist in motion.
Let's break it down.
I want to walk through these 6 steps, but I don't want to just list them like a manual. I want to look at the specific real-world example documented in the archive involving the musical artist Ren Gill.
Perfect example.
Okay, so step 1 of the loop is the boom, or the spark. This is the inciting incident. You listen to a song, you see a painting, you have a conversation with a stranger, and you are deeply, genuinely moved. The creator experienced the spark regarding Ren Gill's work.
Right. And step 2 is the mark, or the tag.
The creator takes a physical banknote and actually marks it. They dedicate that specific piece of currency to the person who caused the spark. The digital record shows this tag was created on March 11th, 2025.
And this is where the system breaks away from normal behavior. Step 3 is the FIZ, or the POP.
FIZZ.
The creator places the marked cash in their wallet, and they bubble it. They carry it with them. They hold the physical manifestation of their gratitude on their person, waiting for the right moment.
For the Ren Gill tip, the creator bubbled that cash from March 11th until July 19th, 2025.
Over 4 months.
Over 4 months. They walked around every day for 4 months with someone else's gratitude sitting in their pocket.
Then step 4 is the tip, or the deem. The moment arrives. The encounter happens. Or, and this is crucial, the system allows you to deem that the cash is required for your own immediate survival.
Which is a brutally honest reflection of the financial precarity many artists face, honestly.
It is. But in the Ren Gill example, the encounter happened, which triggers step 5, the drop-in or the ship. On July 19th in Limerick, Ireland, the creator released the cash, they handed it over.
And the loop concludes with step 6, the find, or the loop. The currency is out of the creator's hands, moving through the world, carrying that tag and that strange provenance with it to some unknown future destination.
It's beautiful.
Okay, I agree. I love the poetry of this. It sounds beautiful. But again, I have to ground us in reality and push back here.
Okay.
Look at the world we actually live in today. We are sprinting toward a completely cashless society. Tap to pay, digital wallets, biometric scanners at the grocery store, physical cash is becoming obsolete.
It is.
So isn't demanding that people carry marked bills for months on end incredibly impractical? Doesn't this fight an unwinnable war against the convenience of digital finance?
It fights a war, certainly. But the impracticality is not a flaw in the design. The impracticality is the entire point of the exercise.
Wait, how does making something harder to do make it better?
The archive explicitly addresses this. Pre-tips exists in the creator's words, in response to the disappearance of physical cash circulation and the small human interactions that once moved through it. We need to look at the psychology and neuroscience of friction.
Okay, lay it on me.
When you buy coffee with your phone, what happens? You hold a black rectangle near another black rectangle, it beeps. You walk away.
The transaction is completely frictionless.
Exactly. And your brain allocates zero cognitive resources to remembering that event because it required zero effort. Frictionless means memoryless.
Frictionless means memoryless. Wow, that is terrifying when you apply it to how we interact with each other.
It really is. When you remove the friction of handing over physical currency, feeling the paper, making eye contact with the cashier, waiting for the change, you remove the human interaction.
Right.
Pre-tips is a deliberate engineered speed bump. By forcing you to use physical cash, and by burdening that cash with the heavy emotional weight of a specific tag, it forces mindfulness into the transaction.
So every time you open your wallet for 4 months and see that marked bill, you are reminded of your gratitude.
Yes. It trains your brain to anticipate serendipity.
It forces you to look at the people around you and wonder, are you the person I've been carrying this for? It creates a state of active observation instead of passive consumption.
It is a radical rejection of digital passivity. But what makes Fizz Story truly fascinating is that while it rejects the passivity of the digital world, it does not reject modern technology.
No, not at all.
It actually embraces the most disruptive, controversial technology of our generation: artificial intelligence.
This blew my mind when I read the sources. You have this creator championing dirty boots, marked up coffee cups, and physical cash. And then you look at the infrastructure wing of their project, a space they call the SIZ at Lab, and you realize they are deeply embedded in AI.
Deeply. They use tools like NotebookLM, ChatGPT, and Gemini.
But the way they utilize these tools is structurally different from the mainstream narrative. They do not refer to them as artificial intelligence. They use specific terminology: digislice and coechox.
They describe them as digital lab hands, or home slices.
The sources place massive barrier emojis around this section. They issue explicit warnings about what these tools are not. They are not authors. They are not replacements for human creativity. And they are not, quote, Fortune 500 tellers, meaning they are not predictive oracles that hold absolute authority.
That terminology establishes a boundary. The AI is strictly defined as an assistive cognition system.
Assistive cognition.
Right. For a neurodivergent creator, someone who might struggle with executive dysfunction or translating abstract visual concepts into linear text or navigating the exhaustion of verbal communication, the AI is not a shortcut to avoid doing the work.
The human remains the witness, the editor, and the ultimate meaning maker.
Always. The AI acts as a cognitive prosthetic. It helps process, reflect, map, and extend the human's ideas.
I want you, the listener, to let that phrase sink in. A cognitive prosthetic. We are bombarded every single day with doom and gloom headlines about AI stealing human creativity. The narrative is that the robots are coming for the artists. But here is a neurodivergent artist using AI as an accessibility tool to help them survive and create. Viewing AI as a prosthetic for communication rather than a threat to art, it completely shifts the paradigm of what the future of creativity could look like.
It really does. And the creator moves this paradigm shift from theory to practice through a specific prototype outlined in their academic research. They propose a live, participatory storytelling session that involves a very unexpected element.
A hand puppet guest. Yes.
Yes, the puppet. Talk me through this because it sounds bizarre, but the psychology behind it is actually brilliant.
So imagine the theater of the mind for a moment. You have a stage or a communal space. You have a live audience. You have the human storyteller. And you have a hand puppet, which acts as a character-driven guest.
Okay.
But the puppet is interacting with a live AI agent. The puppet, the audience, and the AI work together in real time to co-create a story.
To be clear, the AI isn't writing a script beforehand for the puppet to read.
No. The AI is a live collaborator. The human storyteller is prompting the AI, perhaps feeding it audience suggestions, and the AI is proposing story beats, generating unexpected twists, or synthesizing the chaotic inputs of the crowd.
And then the human storyteller filters this and channels it through the puppet.
Exactly.
But why introduce the puppet at all? Why not just have the creator stand on stage with a laptop and talk to the audience and the AI directly? The puppet is an accessibility mechanism. The psychological literature on avatars and masks shows that introducing a layer of abstraction significantly reduces social anxiety.
Oh, that makes sense.
For a neurodivergent creator who might experience severe distress from sustained eye contact or direct social pressure, the puppet acts as a shield. The audience is looking at the puppet, not the creator.
And furthermore, the AI lowers the barrier of entry for synthesizing complex thoughts. If the creator has a massive, abstract, chaotic web of ideas in their head, the AI helps translate that web into a linear narrative that a neurotypical audience can easily digest.
Precisely. The entire setup is engineered to make participation and mass communication physically and emotionally possible for someone who would normally be locked out of the room.
It is breathtaking. But it brings me to my final major question.
Let's hear it.
We have explored a project that incorporates trash art coffee cups, tagged cash carried for months, a 35-foot mobile home, and AI-powered hand puppets. It sounds like pure, beautiful, unadulterated madness.
It is a lot to take in.
How does a creator take all of this chaos and prove its validity to an academic institution? How did they get this through the doors of University College Cork?
By running it through the engine of one of the most rigorous frameworks available, Action Design Research, or ADR.
The academic backbone. The creator pursued a postgraduate diploma in innovation through design thinking, and ADR was their chosen methodology.
Right. And to understand why ADR is the perfect vessel for Phys story, we have to contrast it with traditional academic research. Traditional research often relies on observation from a distance.
Like, you observe a problem, you gather data, you write a paper.
And you hope that years later, an engineer or a policymaker reads your paper and builds a solution.
But ADR fundamentally flips that dynamic.
It does. ADR demands that you enter the problem space, build an intervention, test that intervention in the real world with real people, and continuously refine it based on what actually happens.
You don't wait for permission. You build the plane while you're flying it. And the sources outline the 4 distinct stages of ADR utilized in this project. Stage 1 is problem formulation. This is identifying the bleeding wound. In this case, the problem is the passive consumption of digital storytelling, the algorithmic control of memory, and the resulting audience disconnection.
Then stage 2 is the building, intervention, and evaluation phase, or BE. This is where the theory hits reality. This is the messy act of prototyping the Phys story sessions, introducing the hand puppet, forcing people to tag physical artifacts, and observing the friction.
Stage 3 is reflection and learning. You step back from the chaos and analyze the data. Did the audience actually transition from passive consumers to active co-creators? Did carrying the pre-tip change their emotional state? Did the whiteboard effectively neutralize the toxic group dynamic?
And finally, stage 4 is the formalization of learning. This is the vital step of translating the messy, idiosyncratic insights gathered from a mobile home in Ireland into a structured, replicable model that other researchers or creators can use.
And the archives reveal that the collision between the strict structure of ADR and the chaos of the creative process wasn't always smooth, right?
No, it wasn't. The creator documents a specific instance where they were handed a design challenge brief that contained very minimal details.
It was an exercise in intense ambiguity.
Yes. And the creator notes that initially, this lack of clarity was deeply frustrating. They found themselves clinging to the few specific anchors in the brief, overthinking them, trying to force a clear path where none existed.
But then their mindset shifted. They realized the ambiguity was not a trap, it was a feature.
The creator explicitly cites the work of Jean Liedtke from 2015 regarding cognitive bias in design thinking. Liedtke argues that human beings have a deep psychological need for certainty.
They want to know exactly what to do.
Right, and this need often drives us to latch on to the first plausible solution to a problem, shutting down genuine innovation.
Oh, well.
By letting go of the need for a highly detailed, certain map, the creator allowed their ideas to wander. The absence of rigid guidelines actively reduced their cognitive bias, allowing them to make unexpected, divergent connections.
Look at the beautiful, profound paradox at the heart of this entire endeavor.
It's amazing.
You have a creator utilizing action design research, one of the most structured, cyclical, rigorous methodologies in academia, to validate a system that loudly and proudly identifies itself as messy, bold, human, and chaos.
They use the strict rules of academia to mathematically prove the vital necessity of human serendipity.
It is a masterful synthesis, and it points toward the massive macro solution outlined in the final proposals of their academic work. The creator is looking at the horizon here. They note that the demographics of the digital world are undergoing a seismic shift.
As billions of people from developing regions and diverse cultural backgrounds gain access to the internet, the global village is fundamentally changing.
The internet of tomorrow will not look like the internet of today.
Therefore, the future of design thinking, especially concerning AI, digital platforms, and storytelling, it cannot continue to be dictated by the engagement metrics of a few Silicon Valley conglomerates.
No, the future must prioritize accessibility, cultural sensitivity, and intensely localized experiences. Fizz Story, with its tagged boots and coffee cups, is a microtest of a macro philosophy: decentralization.
It is proving that we can and must build ecosystems where creators and audiences retain the legacy, the memory, and the physical value of their shared narratives.
The story of your life shouldn't be locked in a server farm in a desert. It should belong to you and to the people you share it with.
It's about ensuring that as we transition deeper into the post-human digital age, we build lifeboats to preserve the rawness and friction of humanity that makes storytelling vital in the first place.
What a journey this has been. We started by diagnosing the disease, the fleeting, algorithmically controlled nature of modern media, and that exhausting charge it, trash it, replace it culture.
And we explored the antidote. We looked at Raytart, discovering how a permanent marker and a compostable coffee cup can transform everyday trash into a physical anchor of memory.
And how the transfership protocol teaches us how to survive letting those memories go.
We examined the beautiful friction of pre-tips, learning how holding physical cash can serve as a radical exercise in future gratitude within a frictionless, memoryless society.
We saw a neurodivergent creator redefine AI not as a threat, but as a home slice, a cognitive prosthetic to lower the barriers of communication.
And we witnessed how all of this messy, bold, chaotic human experience was channeled through the rigorous engine of action design research to pioneer the concept of recovery design.
A manual for paving your own road when the world's street signs are written in invisible ink.
It has been a masterclass in reclaiming the narrative of your own life.
Which leaves us with one final, heavy question to ponder as we close. We spend so much of our daily energy curating our digital lives, crafting the perfect post, maintaining the streak, feeding the algorithm. But in a world where your digital footprint is legally owned by massive corporations, and your physical footprint is mostly comprised of mass-produced disposable goods designed to be trashed.
What physical artifact in your possession right now actually holds the unedited story of your life?
That is a staggering thought.
And more importantly, when the time comes for you to inevitably pass that artifact on, will the story survive the transfer? Or will it just become another unmarked piece of trash in the landfill of history?
Think about that the next time you hold a worn-out pair of boots or a disposable coffee cup. The diagnostic landscape of our lives might be incredibly murky and the X-ray machine might be broken, but maybe we don't need a clean diagnosis.
Maybe we just need to start fiercely tagging our own chaos.
Thank you for joining us on this deep dive. Stay curious, look for the stories hidden in the everyday friction, and we'll catch you next time.